Hey guys, it's Kevin. It's going to be another classic movie for you guys. This movie we're going to be reviewing, I know some of you might say that's not a classic, but to me, this is a film that I feel is going to be a classic, and I think has become a classic, and that is the 2009 dramedy classic. It's not a romantic dramedy, they explain that in the movie, and that movie is the 2009 dramedy classic, 500 Days of Summer. Now, 500 Days of Summer, yes, I rented this from my library. I want to see it for a while. It's a movie that I've always been really interested in for quite a few reasons. I'm not saying that I don't like romantic comedies. In fact, I really do like romantic comedies. I'll watch the occasional romantic comedy every now and again. I don't dislike romantic comedies. I think for the most part, they can be really fun at points, but I will admit that they're not really realistic. They don't tell the best stories. I will admit that. But this movie I heard is basically the opposite of that. It's like the anti-romantic comedy. And after watching 500 Days of Summer, what I think this movie, I absolutely love 500 Days of Summer. It's a fantastic movie. It's not a masterpiece. I don't think it has any problem, but it's not like a masterpiece. It wasn't mind-blowing. But it is a movie that I feel is very important for anyone, honestly, who's in a relationship, or if you've been in a relationship, it's really important for anyone. And let's get to the plot of 500 Days of Summer. In my opinion, one of the ways I describe this movie is it's like a non-musical version of the last 5 years. Like the way the last 5 years is done, that's very much how this is done, except we don't get Summer's perspective. We don't get that. Basically, here's the plot of the movie. It focuses on this couple, Tom and Summer. We know at the beginning of the movie that the relationship has ended. Things have not ended well for Tom. He is not over her. And he basically recalls all the memories he has with Summer, and basically the movie is completely non-linear. It shows the 500 days that they were together, and he's pretty sure that Summer is the one, but as the movie goes on, we start to see that obviously she wasn't the one. We start to see why they broke up, and eventually how Tom gets over her, and that's basically a plot of 500 Days of Summer, and I think that's an awesome plot. That's something I love about this movie. And right away, you can tell that this movie is very different than your typical romantic comedy. Um, Something I definitely want to point out right off the bat is the acting in this movie. The acting in this movie, again, it doesn't feel like a romantic comedy. Just like the narrator says in the beginning of the movie, this is not a romantic story. It revolves around a romance, but it's not a romantic story. And I'll talk about what I really think the movie is about. But first, let's get to the acting in this movie. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I mean, he's awesome in everything, but he's amazing in this movie. Tom Hansen, I feel, is a very relatable character. He really thinks that this girl, Summer, is going to be the girl for him, and that they're going to be together forever, and they're meant to be and all this stuff. And he really is into romance, and he's a really good writer with that kind of stuff. But you start to see that he starts to soon realize that that stuff isn't real, and I really love the development with his character. And there are some scenes with this character that are really hard to watch, especially after him and Summer break up. There are some scenes that are really hard, and these aren't spoilers because in the beginning of the movie that they broke up. There are some scenes where they show him all on his own after Summer's broken up with him. It's actually very sad. They're very hard to watch, but he did an amazing job in this movie. Definitely, I think it's one of Joseph Gordon-Levitt's best performances. I mean, he's great in everything. I've never seen him give a bad performance, but this is by far probably one of his best performances, I'd say. Zoe Deschanel, however, this is by far Zoe Deschanel's best performance. I mean, she was amazing in this movie. I love the character of Summer Finn. She's such a, layered character. Some people say she's kind of bitchy, but I say she's just realistic. She's someone that doesn't really understand love, and she doesn't really understand the meaning of true love and all that stuff. She's not really into that. She doesn't really think it's going to happen to her. And I really like that about her character. She sees them even as friends, even as things start to get more serious between them, as he starts thinking it's a relationship, she starts to think of it as they're just friends, and you definitely start to see how their personalities clash. However, the chemistry between these two is by far the best part of this movie, because without the chemistry, the movie would not have been as good. The chemistry doesn't feel like movie chemistry. It feels like just a couple you'd know, and I think they really handled that perfectly. I mean, yeah, these two break up, but they do have very sweet scenes together. They're very cute to watch, and they really work great together, honestly. I think they work perfectly, and honestly, they just were perfect throughout the movie. Honestly, I loved their relationship, and even when things got bad, I mean, you still really did love their characters. It's something I thought was really well done. Jeffrey Arend as Mackenzie, Tom's coworker. I thought he was really funny at points. Definitely, he did a great job. Someone who I didn't know was in the movie was Chloe Grace Moretz. You guys know I love Chloe Grace Moretz. I've never seen her give a bad performance. She's amazing in this movie, as well as Tom's younger half sister. She tries to help Tom however she can. I really love that about her character. She sometimes acts a lot more grown up than she is, which I thought was really funny. And the relationship between her and Tom, I thought was really good as well. I definitely liked their chemistry. I thought you really believed they were sister and brother, and they really handled that very well. Matthew Gray Gubler as Paul, one of Tom's friends, is hilarious. You know, he's trying to do whatever he can to get Tom to get over Summer. It's hilarious to watch, and everyone else was really great in the movie as well. Minka Kelly was really good. I don't want to spoil her character, but she was great. And also, Richard McGonigal, oh my god, as the narrator, he was hilarious. He's not in the movie a lot, but when he's in the movie, it's hilarious to watch. He does a great job, and I thought that he was by far one of the best parts of the movie. Definitely, he really kept the story going. The directing here is really interesting because it's directed by Mark Webb, who, of course, made... Where is it? He, of course, made... I can't find it, but he made the first two Spider-Mans, obviously. And you look at this movie, it's just like, what happened, Mark Webb? Like, he's such a good director in this movie. He directed this movie in such a realistic way. I love what he had to say about this movie, because the whole thing about the movie is that he's basically saying that romantic comedies, what you see, this isn't what actually happens. What happens between these two is what actually happens to people. You know, the girl that you meet that you think is going to be the one might necessarily not be the one. I love the way he directed that. And he really directs this movie to perfection. I mean, the comedic moments, they're really funny. And this movie is hilarious at points. And there's so many great scenes in this movie as well that are so well directed. The karaoke scene, for example, I love that scene. It's a great scene. Honestly, karaoke is one of the most important parts of the movie because it's shown various points in the movie, and I thought they handled that very well. Also, I mean, there's some great scenes with that. I mean, any scene where they're getting to know each other, I thought was really well done. And then the emotional and the heart that this movie has, I think it was all directed perfectly by Mark Webb. I think the thing with Mark Webb, though, is that he should never have directed a superhero movie. Stick to movies like this, and Mark Webb, you're going to be a great director. Seriously. You have a talent. This was an amazing effort, but I guess you can't do a movie that's not like 500 Days of Summer, you know? You can't do Spider-Man. Not everyone can do Spider-Man, and I guess Mark Webb can't do Spider-Man. That's just how it is. But he did a great job directing this movie. He really just directed perfection. You know, there's really nothing else I can say about it. By far, though, besides the chemistry between Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zoe Deschanel, the best part of this movie is the screenplay. The screenplay doesn't feel like dialogue. It feels like just conversations that these two are having, and it's so good. The dialogue is so good. It's really funny at points. The screenplay is really witty, and it's really realistic. I love the realistic tone of this movie. It's something I thought was just really well done. The overall message that the movie's trying to portray. What the movie's really trying to say is that just because one girl didn't work out doesn't mean it's the end of the world. There are going to be other girls. You can move on, and I thought that message was really well executed throughout this movie. The writing was fantastic. I thought the screenplay was just, it was handled really well, and they honestly handled it perfectly. Again, I thought it was very realistic, and I love that. Cinematography also was great this movie. I love the way they did the animations with like the counting the different days of summer. That was very well done. Definitely it's something I thought was really good. The editing I thought also was great in the movie. I really liked the editing. The movie really went by very fast. It's really short. It's 95 minutes. It's actually very short. Yeah, and then the score as well I thought was also really great. I liked the way the score kind of was its own character because it's played throughout the movie. And also, the movie's not confusing. The movie is definitely non-linear. You have to pay attention, but it's not confusing because they always put the day on the screen and you know when it's going on. And I like the nonlinear structure because if they would have told the whole story like the way they did, just in order, it wouldn't have been as interesting. Telling it out of order shows everything in the way it happened. You know, maybe he's recalling things. To me, it just seemed like Tom was recalling things, and that's why we were seeing it when we did. And I thought that was really well done that we saw it. And again, this is kind of like the last 5 years where you have to think of every scene as an event. You can't just think of it as, oh, why didn't we see this part of the relationship? Why we only see this? Because you have to think of it as events, different events that led up to their breakup or something that led up to them getting together. And I thought that was really well done, something I loved. And by the way, by far my favorite part of this movie, the last two scenes, oh my god, the ending to this movie was just perfect. I love the way the movie ended, honestly. I couldn't have thought of a more perfect ending. I mean, there could be a more perfect ending out there, but I honestly thought it was the perfect ending. Honestly, it really showed how Tom's character evolved throughout the movie, and they did a great job with that. Definitely, the movie actually got quite a lot of award accolades. Nothing with the Oscars, which it should have, but it didn't. But it did get 2 nominations for the Golden Globes. Actually, it was nominated Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy, and Best Actor for Joe Scoreland, which it totally deserved. I was very happy it got that, and I wish it would have gotten something at the Oscars, at least Best Screenplay. That would have been awesome, but it didn't, and I wish it would have. But overall, guys, this movie is fantastic. I love 500 Days of Summer. It's a great movie. I think if you guys are tired of the same romantic comedies that are really cliched, because let's face it, they are cliched, they don't really tell the best stories and things like that. I really think you should check out this movie. There are moments in this movie that I will admit they're very hard to watch, but it's because of how realistically portrayed it is. And you guys are probably thinking, well, why is it so hard to watch? Well, it's because it's a very realistically portrayed movie. And in many ways, I think anyone can relate to this movie because we all have that one girl that we thought was the one and they weren't. And I can say that like there's been girls I haven't even had relationships with them, but I've at least talked to them and I thought that I was gonna, be with them, but that didn't work out. That's very much how Tom feels. He really felt that Summer was gonna be that girl, but she wasn't, and she just didn't really want that relationship. And I do really want to talk about this one scene, so I do want to talk about spoilers, so go see 500 Days, go rent, buy whatever you have to do to get 500 Days Summer. It's like $7 on Amazon. I'm definitely gonna get it on Blu-ray. It's an awesome movie. If I had to rate it, by the way, guys, 4.5 out of 5 or A, it has no problems. I think it's a perfect movie, and yeah. So I really do want to talk about this one scene though. Probably my favorite scene in the movie, besides the scene where he met Autumn. I love that scene. I thought that was perfect. But I love the scene where Summer and Tom meet up after they've gone, broken up and they haven't seen each other in a while. I think that was a perfect scene because finally Summer realized what Tom was talking about. She had to basically realize that it wasn't so much that she didn't believe in true love, it's that she just didn't believe in being in a relationship with him. There was this other guy in her life that she just loved more. And I thought they handled that in a very good way, and it was very realistic as well. It wasn't like she was cheating on him. She just wasn't in love with him, and I thought they handled that in a very good way. It's something I thought was really well done, and I honestly thought that was the perfect way in the movie. I couldn't have thought of a more perfect ending. Honestly, it was probably the best way to end their overall, friendship, and I thought that was perfect. So overall, guys, 500 Days Summer is a fantastic movie. Again, if you're tired of the same romantic comedies that are cliched and aren't really realistic, this is the movie for you. Watch it. It's fantastic, and it's a really great watch. Honestly, it's very memorable. It has some great scenes, and you won't. It's a movie you probably won't forget. Honestly, it's a movie that will really make you think twice at the girl that you think is the one, and make you realize that they're really not the one. And this movie proves why. So that's going to be my review, 500 Days Summer. Let me know what you guys saw this movie you have seen. I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for another classic movie review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.